To see. To see. A house. To see a house. A cat. To see a cat. A tree. To see a tree. To hear. To hear. A bell. To hear a bell. A car. To hear a car. A dog. To hear a dog. To see. You see. We see. I see. A house. I see a house. A cat. We see a cat. A tree. You see a tree.
To read. To read. You read. We read. I read. A note. You read a note. A book. We read a book. A newspaper. I read a newspaper. To hear. You hear. Do you hear? A bell. Do you hear a bell? A car. Do we hear a car? A dog. Do you hear a dog? To read. You read. Do you read? A note. You read a note. Do you read a note? A book. We read a book. Do we read a book? A newspaper. You read a newspaper. Do you read a newspaper? To write. To write. I write. Do you write? A note. I write a note. Do you write a note? A book. I write a book. Do you write a book? A letter. I write a letter. Do you write a letter? To read. I read. Do you read? Do not. I do not read. A note. Do you read a note? I do not read a note. A book. Do you read a book? I do not read a book. A newspaper. Do you read a newspaper? I do not read a newspaper.
A house. A house. The cat. The cat. The tree. The tree. To see. They see. We see. The house. We see the house. The cat. We see the cat. The tree. We see the tree. To work. I work. We work. He works. To write. I write. We write. He writes. She writes. A note. He writes a note. A book. She writes a book. A letter. He writes a letter.
To work. He works. She works. He, she, it. It works. To write. He writes. She writes. Does. Does he write? A note. Does he write a note? A book. Does she write a book? A letter. Does he write a letter? To cook. He cooks. She cooks. Does not. He does not cook. To read. She does not read. A note. She does not read a note. A book. He does not read a book. A newspaper. She does not read a newspaper.
I cook. She is. She is a cook. A student. You are. You are a student. A doctor. He is. He is a doctor. To work. As. To work as. A doctor. He works as a doctor. A teacher. I work as a teacher. A cook. She works as a cook.
To eat. I eat. Bread. I eat bread. You eat bread. Cheese. We eat cheese. They eat cheese. Soup. He eats soup. She eats soup. Every day. I eat every day. Bread. I eat bread every day. Cheese. We eat cheese every day. Soup. He eats soup every day.
Eating. You are eating bread. You are eating bread. Cheese. We are eating cheese. Soup. He is eating soup. Now. You are eating now. Bread. You are eating bread now. Cheese. We are eating cheese now. Soup. He is eating soup now.